And that really speaks to the team-oriented aspects of this game. In some public matches, he might not be the best choice right off the bat, but definitely try to support your team if you do in fact decide to choose him. And I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing quite a bit more of Unix in-house play in the upcoming weeks.
All right.
Right. Well, that's the end of the match. I thought that was going to go a bit longer. Napalm, can we stick around for a couple of 4.1 questions before we decide that your bandwidth limits are being exceeded?
Yes, I will bust out the changelog again.
Awesome. Misunderstood asks, question, are there any plans on nerfing Chrono Elixir, especially on tank heroes, and also Rancor Scan being at level 4 being so sample and revealing cloaked units so easily? Not at the moment.
Well, there's an easy answer for that one. I mean, cloak is something that is supposed to help you in the early game, but by late game, cloak shouldn't be something that really should stop any hero. I mean, it's useful it's useful for the evasion early on, but I mean, for like phase cloak and for Shadow's ultimate and other cloaks like that, they're not really supposed to stay viable until endgame.
If they are viable in the end game, it's really going to be more of a getting lucky here and there when the Rancor is dead and the Shadow just used up his last boundary scanner or doesn't have a Chrono Elixir. Cloaks are really there to force you into buying those items, but they should not be used to keep you alive no matter what. Let's see. We didn't see anything with Boros coming in, but
let's read the Boros changes. People are going to like those.
Yeah, people are definitely going to like those, especially for all those Boros fans out there. Boros got some pretty decent buffs in this current patch. So let's see.
So Psionic
let's
Bola
skip
has
through
been
all the
fixed.
UI stuff.
Psionic Bola now displays a radius. The max radius increased to 1.3 up from 1.25, so it's slightly larger. The speed also got increased ever so slightly. The rate of expansion also got increased, meaning that it'll be larger at the end of its throw.
Let's just talk about Bola for a quick second. The thick and thin of it, like, the numbers kind of don't mean much, but the thick and thin of it is that Bola has been fixed, and it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit faster, and it's a little bit more easy to use. So I think that you guys will be seeing a lot more people doing really crazy pulls in the weeks coming ahead. Please go on.
Someone asked the question about multiple builds for recommended items. Having been responsible for writing a lot of the recommended items, actually, in fact, I think I wrote all of them. Yeah, I did. The recommended items were created to give every hero versatility. There are a lot of heroes, like for example, this came up in my Mandrake Premium Guide. Someone was like, well, why don't you do this, this, and this? And the problem with his build is that it was super specialized for strength. And for any hero that has multiple combinations or strategies, the recommended items were created to give you a little bit of everything. I mean, obviously, if you're at the point where you're asking yourself, well, why don't I get a phase cloak on Shadow? Well, then the recommended items aren't for you. The recommended items are for people who are just coming in. Let's say they're playing Zirkan for the first time, and they need kind of like a framework to work off of. That was the whole intention of the recommended items, and it's the same for the premium guides too. They're each person's take on each hero's. Each hero.
Lionheart entered channel.
Yeah, they're the whole idea of these premium guides is that it's giving you a framework to base your build off of. That you give it a shot when you really don't know what to do with them, and then you say, oh well, I guess I could have used a little more Agilis case, or I'm really having trouble with my health regeneration or my energy regeneration. And then you kind of fine-tune your builds, talk about them on the forums, and really specialize. But these are just basically meant to be starting points.
Now, someone asked the question, on the topic of cloak, do you see the use of smokescreen increasing with Unix fungals being so popular now? Smokescreen's one of those items that could be good if teams utilized it, because it's not really a solo item. If you drop a smokescreen, it affects everyone. Meaning, if your team, let's say your micro was to purchase a chrono elixir, and then throw a smokescreen down on a team fight, while their team would be completely blinded as to what's going on, your team could still see them through the cloak. So smokescreen, I don't think it's really something related to Unix, it's just that no team has ever really adopted it as a viable strategy. But I mean, if you've got a chrono elixir and you've got the extra item slot, I mean, sure, yeah, get a smokescreen. It works really well.
There are calls going on amongst the two channels for a rematch, considering the incredibly short duration of that last game. Napalm, do you have it in you, or are we going off for the night?
That's going to be it for the night.
That's going to be it for the night. That's what I thought.
For another hour-long match.
No, we really don't, and we're sorry that we can't stream that, but there will be more in the future. We'll take a couple more questions though about the balance changes before we sign off for the night. It is getting kind of past Drax's bedtime over here on the East Coast.
Drax's bedtime.
Drax still has a bedtime.
The Hand of Manx change really quickly. The only difference now is that it will proc when your minions kill enemies. Specifically infested Terrans or Spectres. When they kill enemies, Hand of Manx will proc.
Yes, that kind of takes a little bit away from the Tosh and Unix strategy of spamming tons and tons of minions. It basically says, okay, you can still spam your minions, but there might be a downside if you go ahead and do that.
Oh, the Tosh question. Everyone loves this question. Let's see the change here at Tosh.
Oh, Tosh was one of those heroes that I really didn't think needed a buff, but apparently the powers that be... Oh, did he ever get buffed? He got very buffed. Definitely, as soon as 4.1 hits the shelves, the virtual shelves, try playing Tosh a little bit and see what you think.
Now, I mean, Tosh, the micro stuns... I mean, you have to consider Tosh as... remove the stuns from the question and consider what Tosh is left with. He's got a small AoE team buff that makes you run faster and hit harder, which, sure, it's good, but it's got such a small area of effect that it really never shows its face in team fights. It's mostly an escape mechanism in some cases, or like a solo kill mechanism. One thing that everyone forgets about Tosh, which baffles me, is that he's got a ridiculously small health pool. Like, if you pressure Tosh with any hero, he's gonna die. He's even squishier than Shadow. I mean, sure, the stuns are annoying, but you should never try and engage a Tosh with all 6 of his Spectres up.
That was a really good word to choose, the word being annoying. The fact of the matter is that players don't like it when they click an action on their hero and their hero doesn't do that action, and that's exactly what Tosh's stuns stop you from doing. It stuns you for a second, and then you go about your business, and then it stuns you a little bit more, and then you go about your business, and it stuns you a little bit more. So I really would consider it to be more annoying than anything else, and of course the counter for that is don't get stunned. As long as you're aware that that stun is in the game and that is the particular way that it functions, it should provide you with the incentive not to get near him when that stun is available. Now, of course, you're never going to be completely immune to getting stunned, but the best way to deal with anything that you are perceiving as overpowered at the very moment is try to avoid it as much as possible. Be aware of it and avoid it, because it is annoying, but it is avoidable.
And that's, in terms of a team fight, Tosh doesn't necessarily put out much damage compared to other agility heroes, But I will counter with this. Um, if you consider Tosh's Q annoying, I hear far fewer complaints about, say, Toxie's Poison, or Shadow's Shade and his Shadow Walk, which, I mean, really, Shadow Walk is even worse than the Q is. So, I mean, every agility hero, their entire purpose is to kill other heroes. The majority of them aren't very good at farming. They have the lowest base healths in the game. They're annoying, yes, but they are not the most powerful heroes in the game. Now, people always ask, like, in the endless strength versus agility versus intelligence debate, why is it that agility seems so underpowered? Well, the sole answer to that question is that agility heroes are arguably the most annoying to kill in the game. Shadow is hard to kill, Tassadar is hard to kill, Boros is extremely hard to kill, Toxie is extremely hard to kill, and they're all phenomenal ganking heroes as well. So that's why there's this statistical perceived imbalance about agility that people say, oh, well, all it gives you is armor and attack speed. Well, yeah, but agility heroes make up for that by having a lot of abilities that are extremely frustrating to deal with, like Toxie's Tosh's Q.
On that note, it should be added that that if we scroll up in the patch notes, that we'll actually see that there has been a slight change to agility. That agility now will grant you slightly more. I believe it's double the amount of attack speed that it previously did. So, what are the exact figures on that? I always forget how many zeros are in there.
0.0004%.
Right, up from 0.0002%. It's not a huge change, but it's basically double the bonus that it was before. So we will see a little bit more attack speed, and that should help even out the perceived imbalance between agility, strength, and intelligence.
I don't believe it's 8%. That's not how that works. I thought it was 0.4, which means 1,000 agility takes off 0.4 from your attack speed, and your attack speed's already, what, like 1.5? That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's a pretty big big bonus.
I'm not sure how Echo calculates that. You know what we will do? There's already a guide on attack speed currently in the forums. I'm going to talk to Echo and find out exactly what the mathematical calculation is in terms of agility versus weapon speed.
Yeah, that will definitely be something to check out. Some of the mechanics are a bit convoluted, so we will definitely be expanding on those in the upcoming weeks on the forums. And if you haven't checked out the forums, there's a premium guide section and directory with no noise, just signal, only the guides that we have that we've determined will be the most useful for players. So I highly recommend you guys check that out at the website on it's www.playsotis.com. You guys probably all know that after all because you're here. But check out that premium guide section if you haven't checked it out yet.
There's a question about Tassadar and will he be buffed? Tassadar didn't need a buff. What was wrong with him was that his ultimate, Ardent Retribution, didn't actually work properly. And if you look here in the changelog, it's actually been fixed. In a nutshell, when you kill Tassadar's illusions, you're gonna feel the pain. Oh, you're ever gonna feel the pain. So fighting Tassadar with his illusions up is gonna be just as bad as fighting Tosh with all of his specters up. Because if you accidentally kill those illusions, that hurts.
Oh, absolutely. So it was a buff by root of a bug patch. In a similar way, the Primal Gutter has also gotten a buff by root of the bug patch. The guy playing Shadow in the last match, Tack, actually pointed this out to me, that the one of the passives on the Primal Gutter had been bugged and wasn't proccing. That has been fixed going forward into 4.1. So we should be seeing people using Primal Gutter a little bit more often, and it will actually proc that slow as intended.